foreign exchange reserves in Nigeria fall to their lowest since July this year. We'll be analyzing the trends. Hello and welcome to Global Business Africa, where we'll be giving you some insight into Africa's business year and beyond. Well, I'm Ucheo Koronko, and here's what's coming up on the show. A look at how agriculture fared across the continent in the last 12 months. The story of a Kenyan DJ whose humble beginnings did not stop him from striking it big in the entertainment industry. Now, data released by Nigeria's central bank today shows that the country's foreign exchange reserves fell to their lowest since July this year, sliding 15.61% year-on-year to $29 billion. Now, the drop was attributed to the fact that the central bank has been using the reserves to support the ailing naira in the wake of failing global oil prices. The forex reserves also dropped by 2.6% in 1 month from $29.91 billion a month earlier. Now, Nigeria's textile industry used to be a key forex earner for the country and, of course, a breadwinner for thousands of families. Now, the state of Kaduna in northern Nigeria was home to the biggest textile mills, and about 10,000 locals found jobs in the industry. But thousands suddenly found themselves jobless after a boom in the sector ended. CCTV's Kelechi Emekalam looks at the plight of former textile workers in Kaduna.
This textile mill was commissioned in 1957. The $2.5 million complex was the first textile company in the whole of West Africa and the largest too. Its establishment saw the birth of several other textile industries, which became one of Nigeria's biggest earners, generating about $2 billion annually. Kaduna alone could boast of at least 8 mills that employed about 10,000 workers. But all of that went under several years back, and thousands of textile workers found themselves out of employment. Many of them are aged, but still make their way here, hoping that someday their luck would shine again and they would be paid. For 30 years, James Valley labored as a spinner here, and his performance earned him many awards. Since the company shut down some 13 years back, life has been difficult for him. At age 70, James begs to get paid after working on people's farms.
The only way I make money now is to work in farms. It's a lot of suffering. I couldn't afford to continue training my children in school. They had already stopped payment long before the company even folded up.
The workers are owed a total of about 3.8 billion naira. They blame the collapse of the industry on mismanagement.
Totally support Mr. President in fighting corruption in Nigeria. Those in favor of fighting corruption should say, "Ha!"
The closure came as a result of mismanagement entirely, because the management of these 3 arms of the mill misused the resources of the mill, misused the resources. That is why this place came to a close.
Since 2002, most of the textile factories have been out of business, leaving thousands without jobs. Over the years, the buildings have been vandalized and most of the equipment stolen.
This massive room used to be the spinning mill, where thousands of workers spun fabrics worth millions of naira. But like other sections of this textile mill, all that's left is the dilapidated building, dirt, dust, and loads of scrap.
The collapse of textile and other industries in Nigeria has been blamed on the discovery of oil. For decades, Nigeria has relied on crude oil export, but persistent fall in oil price pushed the economy on the edge. Now the new government is promising change, a huge one at that. It's bent on reviving the dead textile companies. It's an ambitious plan that could revive hopes of former textile workers in equal measure. Kelechi Emekalam, CCTV Kaduna, Nigeria.
Now let's get some more insight into Nigeria's falling foreign exchange reserves. Of course, reserves fell 14.61% to about $29 billion. And now I'm joined by Deji Badmus in Lagos. Deji, welcome back to the show. Now, foreign exchange reserves hit their lowest levels since July. Now, what exactly is Nigeria's government saying and doing to stem this tide?
Uche, all you just need to do is you just need to listen to President Buhari, what he said yesterday when he had the presidential media chat. Now, he made it very clear, and I think that is what the government is doing. He made it very clear that the government is going to continue with its forex restrictions. You know that the government placed very stringent restrictions now, and access to foreign exchange is very, very difficult here in Nigeria. So the government has said it is not going to ease the restrictions, that it is, as a matter of fact, going to even tighten and impose further restrictions, all in a bid to conserve the reserve, to protect the reserve. Because what the government has been doing all this while is that the government has been using the reserve to defend the naira, but now it has reached a critical point that the government feels it can no longer use the reserve to defend the naira. And that is the reason, one of the reasons why we have a severe shortage of dollars and foreign exchange in the country. And then the government has been talking about developing other sectors, especially the solid mineral sector. The hope is that it would be able to develop that sector, and that sector would become a huge foreign source of foreign exchange earnings for the government, and that way will be able to bolster the reserve. But for now, the plan is to continue to impose tighter restrictions on the access to foreign exchange. Uche?
Now, Deji, the central bank has made a number of quite bold moves this year to protect the naira. Are they working, these moves they made, and what is the outlook for the currency at this point?
Well, the outlook for the currency is not a good one. I mean, especially when you consider the fact that the price of oil is still very low. And then the IMF came out with a report a couple of days ago predicting or forecasting that prices could drop to as low as $20 per barrel next year. And that's a very bad one for Nigeria, because you need the prices of oil to go up so that we'll be able to earn more. One of the reasons why we're facing, or I should say the basic reason why the country is facing this huge challenge with its foreign reserve and the issue of foreign exchange, is just because the government is not earning as much as it used to earn from oil. And as you know, of course, oil is Nigeria's major source of foreign exchange earnings. So if prices don't go up, then too bad. And the naira will definitely come under further pressure. And it's not something everybody hopes. So you look at the horizon, it looks a bit bleak unless something happens, especially with the price of oil. Well, the naira might come under further pressure. And as some people have predicted, the government may have no choice at that point than to devalue.
Well, Deji, looking forward, are there any solutions in the horizon in terms of a plan to find new markets for oil in Nigeria, for Nigeria rather?
Well, that's another difficult one, honestly, Uche, because as we speak today, the issue is not about finding markets. The issue is that the market is already saturated. There is a huge glut out there, and too bad for Nigeria. Saudi Arabia has been refusing to cut down. OPEC has been refusing to cut down on its supply. So you have this huge oil glut. And, you know, even if you found a market, the point is at how much are you going to sell? So we have a situation today in the oil market where, as you know, supply has certainly outweighed demand. And when you have that kind of situation, prices will definitely come down. So even if Nigeria was able to find a new market, the question is how much? At how much would Nigeria be trading its oil? Especially when you also consider another fact that other producers are also looking for new markets. And then we have Iran that will be coming into the market, flooding the market with oil in the coming weeks or months. So it's a bad one for Nigeria. The only hope is that, well, let's just hope prices pick up. Let's hope that at some point, you know, shale producers will not find any incentives at all to continue to produce in the United States, and that somehow prices pick up. But other than that, it would be very difficult, because even if you found a market, the question will be how much will that market be willing to buy your oil?
Well, Deji, thanks so much for those insights. Of course, Deji Badmus joining us from Lagos. Now, the Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo has expressed confidence in a positive growth for the country's economy in 2016. Now, Augustine Matata Ponyos predicts a 9% economic growth in the coming year. This comes as other African nations slash their forecasts amid a slump in global commodity prices. A stable Congolese franc, low inflation, and of course cautious fiscal policy are protecting the country from sustained drops in the prices for copper and oil, two of its major exports. The government of Africa's biggest copper producer in November lowered its growth forecast for 2015 to 7.7% from a previous estimate of 8.4% as metal prices tumbled. Now let's take a quick look at how Africa's markets performed today. And as you can see, it's a generally positive picture with most markets closing the year in the green. But the Johannesburg Stock Exchange saw stocks declining for a fourth straight day as mobile operator MTN weighed on the bourse. You remember MTN's deadline to pay a fine to Nigeria over unregistered subscribers was today, but they're waiting for court proceedings to start. And still to come, the high cost of energy drives inflation levels higher in Uganda. And a look at how agriculture fared across the continent in the last 12 months.
Time. Time is money. Money invested here equals infrastructure development here. We analyze how decisions made in the boardroom can impact the life of the average worker in Durban or a farmer's output in Kenya. From data from companies' annual reports, their financial results, to reports from the World Bank and the IMF, we will break down these reports with in-depth data analysis and guest interviews. From the nations that are making economic turnarounds to individual grassroots success stories. This is Global Business.
Finally, it was the moment everyone here was waiting for, the signing of the Sharm el-Sheikh Declaration and the launching of the long-awaited free trade area. The FTA is now a reality. Delegates here hoped that it would succeed, so it would become the cornerstone of the larger African dream, the African Economic Union.
Welcome back to Global Business Africa. Now, Uganda's annual headline inflation for the year ending December 2015 has increased by 0.2%. This slight rise, according to the country's state-run statistics body, is largely due to an increase in the cost of electricity. Well, CCTV's Michael Baleke has more on that report.
The Uganda state-run statistics body says the cost of energy is driving inflation up. This means residents are paying more cash for less goods as production costs rise.
The annual headline inflation for the year ending December 2015 rose to 9.3% compared to the 9.1% that was registered during the year ending November 2015.
Uganda's economy derives most of its income from small and medium enterprises, most of which rely on electricity to produce goods and services. The statistics body says other factors driving inflation were the increase in the cost of fuel and utilities like water. However, annual food inflation fell from 17.2% in November to 16.5% in December 2015. But experts say the El Nino rains may affect prices.
And as it rains, also it comes with La Nina, high temperatures, which may not be favorable to food crop growing activities. And the effect, if we do not harvest enough, the effect to the market will be reduced and the prices will go up.
The reduction in international crude oil prices is now being reflected at the pumps, and local market experts say that may minimize the effects of inflation in the coming months. Economic analysts say that as the cost of living shoots up, people tend to adjust their expenditure to specific goods and services. But they predict that a continuous depreciation of the local currency could further strain spending habits in the new year. Michael Baleke, CCTV, Kampala.
Now, the push to see growth in Africa's agricultural sector continued in 2015, with governments striving to improve infrastructure and technology for farmers. Now, it hasn't been easy, however, as the continent grapples with an ongoing drought in southern Africa that affected the year's crop yields and forced farmers to cut the size of their herds.
Agriculture was top on the agenda for governments across the continent. In Nigeria, an over-reliance on oil has had the government scrambling to diversify the economy by increasing funding on agriculture to cut back importation of foodstuffs and generate jobs. Apart from growing crops, Adenyi Bunmi also offers plots here for sale to aspiring farmers.
Why toiling for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or 1 year before you get your yam, before you get the yam into the market? So people don't even want to invest. I would rather want to invest in a business that will bring the produce out so very fast. So apart from the image problem that the set of farmers have, another thing is the issue of fund. It requires a lot of capital.
Over in East Africa, northern Uganda was once the land of horrors. The Lord's Resistance Army rebels stalked and killed villagers for nearly 2 decades. The region is now emerging as an agricultural goldmine, attracting agribusiness investors.
We used to have a problem because of Kony, but he is now nowhere. He was a big problem to us, but now we work freely. We can work on our fields for long hours, sometimes until sunset. The panic that used to be there is no more.
Lesotho, in the south of the continent, lacks a coastline, but fish farming is thriving. Katse Dam has been a source of revenue for the government, delivering on a growing demand for trout abroad, especially in Japan.
We have a good catchment area. We get low temperatures, and that's suitable for the growth of our product, which is rainbow trout.
And a severe drought has hurt the maize belt in southern Africa. Lack of rain has caused the crop failure rates of over 50%. Livestock farmers across the country have been forced to make a choice between selling their stock or losing their animals.
There's a severe drought here by us because we don't have food for the cows. We have to buy them food, and it's not raining. When it doesn't rain, there are more problems.
Despite efforts to shore up the sector, extreme weather continues to threaten production. Increased funding and the use of new technology might just be the right prescription for agriculture in 2016. Noel Makugu, CCTV.
Now let's take a look at how commodities performed today. And of course, 2015 was a tough year for commodity prices, and you can see this across the board. Oil prices managed a slight gain today, but still hover around 11-year lows. Meanwhile, gold prices were steady today, but are poised to mark their 3rd straight annual loss ahead of what is likely to be another tough year, of course, with the prospect of higher US interest rates and, of course, dollar strength. Still to come, the story of a Kenyan DJ whose humble beginnings did not stop him from striking it big in the entertainment industry. To cross the threshold into 2016, here are some of the sectors which are hotspot for entrepreneurs and investors across Africa. And at the top of the list is quality internet and mobile services. Now, several parts of the continent do not have quality internet services, despite the fact that Africans rely on mobile phones for many things, from banking to e-commerce transactions. Now, Africa is currently all about mobile phone apps, and analysts say whoever is building these apps and offering telecom services is guaranteed to make some money. Many Africans also rely on satellite internet, with the cost of broadband being very high in some places. So a solution to these issues is bound to make some money. Another area is payment systems. Of course, payment systems are also on the rise. Billions of dollars are moved within and across Africa each day. Payment services like PayPal, which is popular in the US and Europe for making payments for purchases and transferring money via the internet, would be an ideal investment in Africa. Now, some operators like M-Pesa in Kenya are leading the way, but the opportunities in other parts of the continent remain vast, especially in the SME space. Now, of course, unemployment is a big problem in Africa, so jobs and recruitment services is also quite important. The continent has a huge population of job seekers for skilled and unskilled labor. There exists a number of job websites right now, but there is still a great need for job placement and recruitment websites to match the ever-growing demand for skilled labor. Another area is content creation. Now, creating content is a huge area. Africans are now showing more interest in its local content, and whoever is providing these services will tap into a vast market. Now, as of now, Africa's biggest player in online content provision is Nigeria's Iroko Partners. The company has put together the largest online library for African content. South Africa's Wabona actually, is a pay-per-view video streaming service which is trying to replicate Iroko's success. Now, these services provide access to great content within the continent and the diaspora. Not many players have ventured into this area, leaving it wide open. Another very important area is power or electricity supply. Now, power generation is a huge deal right now. Most countries in Africa still face unstable power supply, despite electricity being the engine that drives industrialization in key sectors like communication and healthcare. Now, trying to solve that problem through hydro, solar, wind or nuclear power is sure to get good returns across the continent, and those are the areas that will bring in the bucks in 2016. Well, let's now get the story of a 33-year-old Kenyan-born Kevin Mulei. He gave up a disc jockey job to start off his own events company.
How many flight cases? Kuna space ingine hapo? My name is Kevin Mulei. I'm an entrepreneur. I own an entertainment farm. For me, it's been a journey. I'm a retired DJ. I was a DJ from when I was 18, professional DJ. As a DJ, you know, people rely on you on the music. So we would step in at the gig and the sound was not good, which meant there was an opportunity to get good sound system that will give a good output. Now, our name is More Sound. Everyone expects that where More Sound is, there's good sound. Well, the name More Sound doesn't mean that we have a lot of sound system, but the name came from More Sound Ideas. So we shortened that to More Sound. How many Pro Flows do you have? When a client reaches to us, there are different ways, maybe via email, via call, or even just call us for a briefing, which most of the clients right now, they call us for a briefing. And from there we go, we listen, then we come back, we call up our creative team. We break down the event in different segments, from security to audio to video to graphics to the project manager. Then we're able now to put together a look and feel. Well, we have 82 full-time staff, and we have roughly close to 200 casuals that we call in and out when we need them. Probably when we have the big projects, we need even more. Recently, we were awarded the GS, we're audiovisual and staging solution provider, and it was an amazing project to showcase Kenya as a country. It was a big blessing for Mosound and for our team to work with the best in the market. In fact, the best globally. Others are been able to handle Kenya at 50, which was one of the biggest events that required us to react very fast, or 2 events in 2 different locations with a spacing of 12 hours with many presidents, dignitaries, and we delivered that pretty well. We've done the Coke Studios, we worked with Barclays for most of their work. Safaricom has been a very good client with us. They've given us an opportunity to grow, to give them some crazy ideas, and they've been able to warm up to them. Business is purely funded, by our savings, our profits, but a good percentage, some debt, which the bank started to warm up, just the other day. Previously, they wouldn't give us any facilities because, you wouldn't use the speakers or the lighting systems as what they normally require. We have a very elaborate expansion plan, and we thought it was going to happen in 2 years, but now we've extended to 4 years, where we have an office in Rwanda, we have an office in Tanzania. Wanted to jump in those markets in a medium-size kind of way entry. However, we had to just sneak in slowly because the level of what we service, whether it's a small or big event, requires to have substantial amount of gear. So capital is one thing, and number 2 is skills. Some of our team, we have to send them either to South Africa or send them to the UK and get the training. We don't get the favor of having many people in the same pool that we can get a trainer to come down, but it's easier for us to send them away. We look at every challenge as very different, and we are very excited because Kenya is on the spotlight right now. Some of the big events are looking to happen in Nairobi, and there are a number of big projects which are lined up. And that's quite exciting, the fact that we can chase such projects and be able to have the team to deliver. Ideally, a couple of years back, we would expect gear to come from outside, crew to come from outside, but we are confident right now we can service these events up to 95%.
This is it. This is the Mosound excellence. This is what we live for. The client is happy, the guests are having a good time. We'll keep doing this again and again.
Now, some breaking news just coming in. A fire has broken out in a building in Dubai close to the world's tallest skyscraper, the Burj Khalifa. Now, burning debris fell from the building as firefighters arrived at the scene. The fire erupted as Dubai prepared to hold a major New Year's Eve fireworks display. The cause of the blaze isn't clear, and it was not immediately clear whether there are any casualties. Of course, we shall keep you updated on that story as it continues to unfold. Important to note that this footage is from Reuters. Well, that's it for this edition of Global Business. A happy new year to you all. From me and the team, thanks for watching.